Behind marble walls and gold gates, a fortune worth $700 million gleamed under Dubai's endless sun. But the greatest lessons in life don't always come wrapped in gold. They often wear the face of humility. No one knew that. The maid's quiet son, who swept the floors and stared at the stars through the mansion's windows, would one day humble the billionaire who owned it all. One promise, one cruel challenge, and one unimaginable twist would turn power into weakness. When pride clashed with purity and money collided with morality, the true worth of a man was revealed, and the price of dignity became priceless. In Dubai's glittering skyline where glass kissed the clouds lived Malik Al-Zahir, a billionaire CEO whose empire stretched across oil, tech, and luxury. To the world, he was untouchable, a symbol of dominance. But behind his palace gates, humanity drowned beneath diamonds and ego. His staff moved like ghosts, seen, never heard. Among them was Amina, a maid from Kenya. She came not for wealth but survival. Every morning she polished marble floors that reflected a world she would never belong to. Waiting in a small servant's room was her 12-year-old son Daniel, bright-eyed, patient, endlessly curious. He devoured borrowed textbooks, dreaming of becoming an engineer someday. Malik's only son, Amir, was the same age, but lived on another planet. Private tutors, gold-plated toys, a life untouched by limits. Their worlds collided one quiet evening, when Daniel wandered into the private garden where Amir played. Instead of anger, curiosity bloomed. The boys talked, laughed, and in that forbidden friendship something rare took root, connection without class. But whispers travel faster than truth. When Malik discovered his son spending time with a maid's child, fury erupted. His pride was wounded, his superiority questioned. In Malik's world, wealth wasn't success, it was separation, and to blur those lines was to commit the ultimate sin. Yet destiny has a way of humbling even the proudest hearts. Weeks passed. The friendship deepened. Amir found freedom in Daniel's honesty, the way he saw the world not through power but through possibility. Daniel, in turn, found wonder in Amir's world, access to knowledge, tools, and dreams he'd only read about. One afternoon, curiosity led them to Malik's private garage, a temple of machines. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royces, the air itself smelled of wealth. Daniel's eyes widened in awe, not envy. He asked questions, how engines breathed, how speed was born. From a distance, Malik overheard, smirking at what he called a beggar's curiosity. Days later, Malik hosted a grand charity gala. The mansion pulsed with golden light, echoing laughter, and flashing cameras. Amina worked quietly in the background, ensuring everything was flawless. Daniel, dressed modestly, watched the spectacle, awed by the display, unaware that fate was about to call his name. As the night unfolded, an investor spoke passionately about sustainable energy and innovation. Malik scoffed aloud. His fortune ran on oil, and progress to him was a threat. But Daniel, heart-pounding, dared to speak. "Sir," he said softly, "there's a way to turn waste heat into electricity, cheaply." The hall fell silent. Dozens of powerful men turned to stare. Malik's lips curved into a mocking smile. "You think you can outsmart those who built empires?" he sneered. Laughter rippled across the room. But one investor, intrigued, leaned forward and asked Daniel to explain. Cornered by his pride, Malik turned the moment into humiliation. "Fine," he said coldly. "If your idea works, I'll give you anything you want." Gasps filled the hall. But Daniel didn't flinch. His calm gaze met Malik's, and in that silence, pride met its first fracture. For weeks, Daniel worked in secret. With scraps of wire, broken parts, and sheer brilliance, he built a crude prototype, a small device that captured waste heat and converted it into usable energy. When the day of demonstration came, Malik's executives gathered, half amused, half curious. Daniel's hands trembled as he flipped the switch, and the dark room glowed softly to life. Gasps echoed. Engineers rushed forward, astonished. It worked, efficient, real, revolutionary. But Malik's pride refused to bow. A child's trick, he dismissed, voice tight. Yet one investor, seeing its potential, offered Daniel a scholarship abroad. And that's when Malik's anger turned poisonous. Malik's pride snapped. He ordered Amina and Daniel out of the mansion. Forever. Amina pleaded, tears streaking her face. But Malik's heart was made of marble. They left that night with nothing but a dream that refused to die. Years passed. The world evolved, and so did Daniel. Through scholarships, part-time jobs, and relentless grit, he studied, innovated, and built. His creation grew into a global breakthrough, an affordable, sustainable energy system that reshaped industries. By 25, Daniel was celebrated by the United Nations as one of the youngest minds transforming the planet. Meanwhile, Malik's empire rotted. The oil markets collapsed, investors withdrew, and the man who once ruled the skyline now struggled to stay afloat. Desperation drove him to seek new partners, new technologies to save what remained of his name. Then came the day of reckoning. Malik entered a towering boardroom to negotiate a merger with a rising African energy company. As he approached the table, he froze. At the head sat Daniel, calm, composed, radiating the same quiet confidence he once mocked. Daniel didn't gloat. He simply presented a contract. Malik's eyes traced the figure, $700 million. Daniel spoke softly, every word cutting deeper than revenge. 700 million will be yours, Mr. Al-Zahir, if you can learn to see beyond color, beyond class, beyond yourself. The room fell silent. The man who had once commanded obedience now sat small, staring at the reflection of everything he had lost. Not money, but humanity. For the first time, Malik understood. Power fades. Character doesn't. After that meeting, Malik disappeared from headlines. His company broke apart. His fortune vanished, but in that emptiness, something awakened. The arrogance that once defined him melted into silence. Daniel never sought revenge. He built. He taught. He created innovation centers and schools across Africa and the Middle East, places where children from poverty could dream without apology. His name became a symbol of hope, not triumph. Years later, in a rare interview, a journalist asked Daniel about his success. He smiled gently and said, "The real currency of life isn't oil or gold, it's how many lives you lift when no one believes in you." Somewhere in Dubai, Malik watched that interview from a modest apartment. His hands trembled, not from loss, but from clarity. For the first time, he understood the true meaning of wealth. Daniel had never punished him. He had offered redemption. But pride had blinded Malik until the world itself taught him. And so, the tale of a billionaire's arrogance and a maid's son's brilliance became more than just a story. It became a mirror. Because every empire built on ego will one day face its reflection. And when that moment comes, one question remains: will you recognize worth before it's too late?